counter, and I said, now I've got my cast. Now I can really make the picture.
Mm-hmm. It's a delicate thing, isn't it, this mixture you have in this movie of romance, adventure, and fantasy. Those three things don't often mix, but my goodness, they certainly do here. They mix so well.
Well, I think one of the juicier parts about, first and foremost, this was a love story, and that everything had to stand in line behind that. That everything had to, we could be entertained, we could have some fun with it. We have a lot of fun with the whole notion that somebody you can't see or can't hear is behind you, putting ideas in your mind which you think are your own ideas, and you wind up sometimes doing things that Richard Dreyfuss wants you to do, and it's very funny. But underneath all that is this kind of, I guess, wistful notion that love goes on, that the promise of heaven is that love continues. And I guess thematically about this movie is that, you know, that heaven is everywhere. It's not traditionally up in the sky where the stars are.
Exactly.
But it's everywhere. It's a state. It's a state of grace.
Now I know your traditional method of filmmaking is you do like to storyboard a lot, and
I didn't on this one very much.
why is that?
Because it was a modern romance. Because it was about actors and people. I can't storyboard acting, and I can't storyboard a sequence, especially when I have such freewheeling, spontaneous actresses like Holly Hunter and an actor like Dreyfuss and John Goodman, who comes from the theater. People don't realize that. They just see him on TV on Roseanne. They don't realize that all of his roots are in theater. I can't storyboard, you know, emotion.
Right.
What I can storyboard is logistics. The only scenes really storyboarded and always were the climactic forest firefighting scenes with the airplanes.
Yeah.
Because that was risky, and I wanted to make sure everybody knew what we were talking about. So that was all on paper.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else was just, I would come to the set in the morning so happy just to be making this movie finally, you know. I'd arrive in the morning, and we were just pumped. We were all so pumped up for this, that all the ideas that are on the screen now pretty much came spontaneously on the day of the shoot.
For him, one of the most difficult things in making a movie was coming to the set each day and trying to figure out just where to put the camera. That obviously isn't as much of a problem for you. But can you see where a director like Lean or other directors, highly talented directors, would feel that way?
Well, I wish I had his problem. That's a nice problem to have, because where he finally puts it is the only place it could have gone, and nobody but David Lean would have put it there. I think all of us, if we want to just use that as an example, all of us have our own ways of seeing. There's only one place I'm going to put a camera. There's only one place Ridley Scott or Francis Coppola or John McTiernan, the new great action director of Die Hard. Sure. Everybody has their Steve Soderbergh, who did Sex, Lies, and Videotape. That's what we do. You know, we have our own ideas of where the camera goes, therefore we have our own ideas of how to tell a story.
Yeah.
And that's what makes film so exciting. It's so subjective and so individualized.
Let me ask you quickly about, talking about directors, about Victor Fleming. We've had a lot of talk about a guy named Joe, and yet nobody's mentioned the name of Victor Fleming, the man who directed this film. Briefly.
Well, I think Victor was with me. Victor was my Pete when I was making this picture. Because ironically, we shot the movie at the MGM Studios, where the original was made in 1943, and we shot on Stage 15, which is where they shot A Guy Named Joe in 1943. We had no idea until we were halfway through that was the same soundstage they made the entire film on. It was very, very intriguing. And Victor Fleming is one of the greatest filmmakers of our era, and yet he is not a household word. He's not even mentioned in the filmographies as a great historical personage. He directed Gone with the Wind. He directed The Wizard of Oz. He directed Captains Courageous. He directed Mutiny on the Bounty with Clark Gable and Charles Lawton. He directed A Guy Named Joe. I mean, this man was a chameleon. He was eclectic. Yeah. He didn't have a style like Frank Capra or Preston Sturges or Alfred Hitchcock. His movies, and I kind of patterned my own career more after Victor Fleming's than I do than I would after John Ford or, let's say, Alfred Hitchcock, because they had a consistency in their style. I don't feel I have that much of a consistency, and I certainly feel that Victor Fleming was the most eclectic of all the filmmakers, and yet he made really wonderful movies.
Absolutely. One final question. and that concerns John Williams. I think everyone agrees. I agree, certainly, that John is the finest composer of film scores today. Not just film scores, but a great composer. What sets him apart for you?
Well, for one thing, he's like my brother. So we have a personal and simpatico relationship. I cannot imagine on a directed movie working with anybody else. It happened once on Color Purple because basically Quincy Jones, who also was the producer and found the book, pretty much had to write the music because he was part of the, and I came on board his ride. But aside from Color Purple, I can't imagine working with anybody else but Johnny, because Johnny rewrites the movies that I direct musically. Mm-hmm. He rewrites my films, but he rewrites them in a way that doesn't take away from the movie. It just sort of elevates it another couple of levels. Yeah. And he does it by I just think he's smart. He's smart about when to hold back and when to be operatic. Yeah. And that's what makes him a great composer. Not in that he writes great tunes or he knows how to orchestrate so well. What makes him great is he knows when to go full stop, all out, and when to hold back.
Exactly. Stephen, we're out of time
too bad.
For E.T., for Close Encounters, for Always. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
My guest right now on Cinema Showcase, one of the stars of Steven Spielberg's film Always, John Goodman. John, it's very good to see you.
Thank you. It's nice to be called a star.
Well, indeed, you are. In fact, this past, 18 months to 2 years, you have been one of the busiest actors in the business.
Yes, sir.
Are you ready for a vacation?
Yes, sir. I don't know when I'm going to get one, though. I'm ready to take a honeymoon.
What, for those who have not been keeping the John Goodman track record, of course, the TV series, mm-hmm. which is one of the big hits, Roseanne show. Sea of Love, which turned out to be a smash success. Yeah. I think maybe surprised even a few people that it was that successful. Let me ask you about that film, because, as I say, it was very successful, and you were so good in it. Was that? How did you enjoy doing that?
I enjoyed it immensely. At any time, in my wildest dreams, I never thought I'd be able to work with Al Pacino. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't as much work as just a ball. We just had a ball. He's, anytime you get to work with him, folks, take a shot. No, it's great. He's like one of the nicest, funniest guys you'd ever care to meet, and you know, best actor I've ever worked with.
Now, you see, ordinarily, we don't think of Al Pacino, at least I would imagine most of us don't think of Al Pacino as being funny or having a great sense of humor. He has a great sense of humor.
He does have a great sense. It shows in, you know, a couple of his films. He's been allowed to explore the comic side of him. Mm-hmm. He's a very funny guy. Yeah.
Truly, I think one of the year's best films, though, Sea of Love. Yeah. Your film Always, also one of the best films in quite a while. Were you just about like it seems everybody else connected with this project, a fan of the movie A Guy Named Joe?
Sure. I like that all the old movies like that. Ghost wandering in and out of things. It's right. Just fun. I didn't know if we'd be able to pull the style off, but it looks like we have. Yeah. And bring it to today instead of World War II, but it's all worked out.
It has. What was the biggest challenge for you in playing this particular part?
Not looking at Richard when he was talking to me. Richard's a very strong actor, man, and he's so great. And he's talking to you, you want to go, oh, I blew the take. But yeah, that and it wasn't really a challenge. It was a fun piece to do. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was long hours on location up in Montana. Get real hot, get real cold, but that's nothing. You know, it beats mine in lead for a living.
I don't know. It does bring to mind though that old cliche about movie making being the glamour business, but sometimes there's nothing particularly glamorous about it, is there?
No, it's you know, like I said, it's you know, at least I don't have to push dirt for a living. Yeah, that's better than that.
Steven Spielberg, there probably isn't a more famous filmmaker in the world today. Did you know what to expect before you worked with him?
No, but I'd heard, well, I heard various stories about him, but I didn't expect it to be as much fun as it was. Anytime I can work for him again, I'd drop anything and do it. I just love the guy. I just love working for him.
All right, now, he obviously has a tremendous gift when it comes to handling the technical side of things. His films are perfection technically.
Mm-hmm.
And he has also, amazingly, a great gift with actors. And sometimes those two don't often work, but with him, they miraculously work.
He's very good with people. He knows how to tell a story. And he doesn't try to manipulate you or trick you into doing anything. He just, he knows how to talk to people.
Mm-hmm. What about improvisation? Is he open to that?
Sure. If something's not exactly working, he'll take suggestions from anywhere just to make the film better. You know, it all services the piece and tells the story.
I think there are, as you well know, there are directors who totally shut out their actors and won't let them contribute. And my goodness, to my way of thinking, that's eliminating a vital source of input when you don't let your actors contribute to the process.
It's you know, everybody's got a different way of working. I sure wouldn't work that way, but you know, what do I know?
What about the future? Notice the smooth segue here. What about the future of the with Roseanne? The show is going great guns. Do you see yourself still involved in the program, and if it's still successful in 3 or 4 years?
Sure. Well, I'm contractually obligated to it for another 5 or 6 years. So whatever happens, happens. It's out of my hands.
So whether you see yourself there or not,
I'm there.
You're going to be there.
Yeah.
Now the daily process of doing a TV show.
It's got to be right there. It's got to be ready in 5 days. And film, you can always come back to something, or you have a lot more time to really build the shots and everything. TV's more immediate.
Yeah. So film offers you quite a luxury in that respect.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, again, congratulations on all of this wonderful work you've been doing, and
Thank you.
Good luck with the vacation.
Yeah, right.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.